Calaroga Shark Media.
Welcome back to TV in the Basement, your secret lair for all things fantasy, horror, and drama. I'm your host, Journey Joe Mitchell, and today we're continuing our journey through HBO's Game of Thrones with a look at the show's third season. Based on roughly the first half of A Storm of Swords, the third novel in George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series, Game of Thrones' third season premiered in March 2013 and continued to raise the stakes and expand the scope of the story. With the War of the Five Kings in full swing and new threats emerging from beyond the Wall and across the Narrow Sea, the world of Westeros was more dangerous and unpredictable than ever before. One of the main storylines of the season follows the continuing adventures of Daenerys Targaryen, played by Emilia Clarke, as she builds her army and sets her sights on the city of Yunkai. Along the way, she faces new challenges and adversaries, including the formidable slave masters of Astapor and the cunning mercenary captain Daario Naharis, played with swaggering charm by Ed Skrein. Meanwhile, in King's Landing, Tyrion Lannister, played once again by Peter Dinklage, adjusts to his new role as Master of Coin and tries to navigate the treacherous political waters of the capital. His relationship with his new bride, Sansa Stark, played by Sophie Turner, is a particular highlight of the season, with Dinklage and Turner's performances bringing depth and nuance to their complex and often uncomfortable dynamic. In the North, Jon Snow, played by Kit Harington, infiltrates the Wildling army led by Mance Rayder, played by Ciarán Hinds, and begins a dangerous double game that threatens to unravel at any moment. His relationship with the Wildling warrior Ygritte, played by Rose Leslie, is another standout of the season, with their tragic love story serving as a poignant counterpoint to the larger conflicts and power struggles of the series. But perhaps the most shocking and unforgettable moment of the season comes in the penultimate episode, The Rains of Castamere, which features the now infamous Red Wedding sequence. Robb Stark, the King in the North, has broken his vow to marry one of Walder Frey's daughters, instead marrying Talisa Maegor, a healer from Volantis. To make amends and secure passage across the twins, Robb agrees to have his uncle Edmure marry one of Frey's daughters instead. The wedding feast begins as a joyous and celebratory occasion, with music, dancing, and plenty of food and drink. But as the night wears on, a sense of unease begins to creep in. Catelyn Stark notices that the doors to the hall have been closed, and the musicians are playing a haunting rendition of The Rains of Castamere, a song that tells of the downfall of House Reyne at the hands of Tywin Lannister. Suddenly, the musicians reveal themselves to be assassins, and a hail of crossbow bolts rains down on the unsuspecting Stark party. Robb is shot multiple times while Talisa is stabbed repeatedly in the stomach, killing her and their unborn child. Catelyn, in a desperate attempt, takes Walder Frey's wife hostage and begs for mercy, but Frey coldly refuses, saying, "I'll find another." The scene is a masterclass in building tension and dread, with director David Nutter using subtle visual cues and a haunting score to create a sense of unease that builds to a horrifying climax. The brutality of the violence is shocking and unflinching, with the show's creators making the bold choice to kill off several major characters in one fell swoop. But what makes The Red Wedding so effective is not just the shocking violence, but the emotional impact it has on the characters and the audience. Robb Stark, who had been built up as the hero of the series and the hope for a just and honorable ruler, is brutally cut down just as he seems poised for victory. And Arya, who arrives at the twins just in time to witness the aftermath of the massacre, is left traumatized and alone, her hopes for reuniting with her family shattered. The Red Wedding also has far-reaching consequences for the larger story of Game of Thrones. With the Starks defeated and scattered, the Lannisters and their allies are left in control of Westeros, setting the stage for the power struggles and conflicts to come. The event also marks a turning point in the show's tone and themes, with the idealism and heroism of the early seasons giving way to a darker, more cynical vision of power and politics. In many ways, The Red Wedding encapsulates what makes Game of Thrones such a groundbreaking and influential series. By subverting audience expectations and killing off major characters in shocking and brutal ways, the show challenged the conventions of traditional fantasy storytelling and proved that no one was safe in the cutthroat world of Westeros. The Red Wedding sequence is a masterclass in tension, horror, and emotional devastation, with director David Nutter and the show's cast and crew delivering a truly unforgettable and traumatic moment that left viewers reeling. The aftermath of the massacre, with the Stark family scattered and broken and their enemies triumphant, is one of the darkest and most harrowing chapters in the show's history. Other memorable moments from the season include the thrilling battle sequence in And Now His Watch Is Ended, in which Daenerys turns the tables on the slave masters of Astapor and claims their unsullied army for her own. The tense and atmospheric sequence in The Climb, in which Jon and Ygritte scale the wall and share a passionate kiss at the top, and the devastating final scene of the season, in which Arya Stark, played by Maisie Williams, witnesses the desecration of her brother's corpse and vows revenge on those who wronged her family. Throughout the season, Game of Thrones continues to impress with its stunning production values, complex characters, and intricate plotting. The show's world-building remains a particular strength, with new locations like the Wildling camp, the slave cities of Essos, and the haunted ruins of Harrenhal adding to the rich and immersive tapestry of the series. However, the season is not without its flaws and controversies. Some viewers and critics took issue with the show's depiction of sexual violence, particularly in scenes involving the character of Theon Greyjoy, played by Alfie Allen, who is brutally tortured and castrated by the sadistic Ramsay Snow, played by Iwan Rheon. While the show's creators have defended these scenes as necessary to the larger story and themes of the series, others have argued that they are gratuitous and exploitative. Another point of criticism for the season was the decision to recast the role of Daario Naharis, with Ed Skrein replacing Mikhail Huseman in the part. While Skrein's performance was generally well received, some fans felt that the change was jarring and undermined the continuity of the character. Despite these issues, Game of Thrones' third season was another critical and commercial triumph for the series, earning widespread acclaim and a record-breaking 16 Emmy nominations. The show's cast and crew continued to deliver outstanding work, with standout performances from Peter Dinklage, Emilia Clarke, Michelle Fairley, and many others. Looking back on the season, it's clear that Game of Thrones was continuing to push the boundaries of what was possible on television, both in terms of its storytelling ambition and its technical achievement. The Red Wedding sequence alone is a testament to the show's ability to deliver shocking and unforgettable moments that reverberate long after the credits have rolled. At the same time, the season also grappled with some of the most complex and challenging themes of the series, from the corrupting influence of power and the cost of revenge to the ways in which trauma and loss can shape and define us. Through its nuanced and often brutal portrayal of these themes, Game of Thrones challenged viewers to confront the darker aspects of human nature and the consequences of our choices. As we move into the later seasons of the show, it's interesting to see how the events of Season 3 continue to shape and influence the larger story. The fallout from the Red Wedding, in particular, sets in motion a chain of events that will have far-reaching consequences for the characters and the world of Westeros as a whole. But perhaps the most enduring legacy of Game of Thrones' third season is the way it cemented the show's status as a cultural phenomenon and a true television landmark. By delivering some of the most shocking and unforgettable moments in the history of the medium, the season proved that television could be just as bold, ambitious, and emotionally resonant as any other form of storytelling. For TV in the Basement, this is Journey Joe Mitchell signing off. Until next time, keep watching the skies, the screens, and your own backs. Because in the Game of Thrones, no one is safe, and the stakes only get higher from here. Thank you for listening.